Okay, today, based on the recommendation from a viewer, I'm going to discuss some of the things that I carry that I don't see many of the other hikers, the other thru hikers carrying. In almost every instance here, these are things that I have learned in the process of doing the Triple Crown from watching others. So perhaps you may find this instructive or helpful. I hope so. So one of the things that I do that very few other hikers do is I purify my water using a product called Aquamira. It uses 2 different reagents. You mix it up, 7 drops of each one, either in the provided case or simply in the cap of the water bottle that I'm going to enter the water into. You let it sit for, I think they say 5 minutes. When it's warmer, it reacts much more quickly, and you can tell by the change in color. And then you just put it into a liter of water, and you have to wait. I think they say 10 minutes, but that's not a problem. I can go in to a water source, mix this up, wait for it, and be on my way where somebody else coming in at the same time has their CNOC bottle, and they're going through a big operation to, use their Sawyer squeeze. I have nothing against the Sawyer squeeze, except for one major reason, and that's really why I carry this almost exclusively, is if you're hiking in a cold environment in which your Sawyer squeeze can freeze, you've basically ruined it, and you won't necessarily know that you've ruined it. And what happens is the micro ice crystals will form in the ceramic filter, break them up, and so the bacteria and viruses go right through, and you're not aware of it. And if you read the fine print on the Sawyer squeeze, they say, if you're in freezing conditions, throw this away. So I don't want to sleep with my wet Sawyer squeeze in my sleeping bag, and I'm even worried about hiking, when it's sub-freezing weather, and having to, one more thing to worry about. This is also far and away a much lighter weight option than any sort of ceramic filter. So I've been using this for several years, probably 90-95% of the time. And in food preparation or cleanup, I have a few products here. This one is called a WAPI, a water something purification indicator. And this maybe weighs, I don't know, 5 grams, 8 grams, something like that. And it will allow you, you can see the green part here, and you sling it inside your pot in such a way that, and this is food safe, silicone, that this product, this waxy product in here, when it gets to the temperature at which water is pasteurized and will kill all the viruses and the pathogens in the water that will make you sick, it will slide from the top to the bottom, and you just pull it out. So it's a good indicator. So you don't necessarily have to boil the water. Well, you don't have to boil the water to make it safe to drink. You really don't. And if you don't have to boil it, for example, you're just making some coffee, you don't necessarily want boiling water. You want it hot, but why boil it and then just let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes to cool off before you can drink it? So very handy. I think it's well worth the weight of carrying this. This is a stainless steel household pad. I just, cut it off. This isn't like a Brillo. This is, stainless steel, won't rust. I doubt this weighs a gram. Similarly, this doesn't weigh a gram. This is a cut down of a handy wipe for cleaning out the stuff. And I have a vial of Dawn dish detergent, and literally just a few drops will be enough to clean all your spoon, your cook pot, everything. I like a clean cook pot. every time I cook. And another thing that I do that very few hikers use is some sort of recovery drink. And I have this immediately following hiking. If the weather conditions are fine, before I set up my tent, before I do anything. And that is for the optimal delivery of the recovery mix to your muscles. And here's how, now I have normally been, when I can get food boxes from home, using a homemade recovery mix from very similar to the recipe at Gear Skeptic on YouTube. He has an excellent video on how to mix it up and the whys and wherefores. And what I will do is take one of these, which I can oftentimes get in town. This is just my drinking cup. Put it in here, fill it mostly with water, and this is a food-safe silicone, very flexible thing I just got on Amazon. I mean, it's very cheap. It was like 3 of these for $1 or something. And I will stretch it over this. You could also do it on your cook pot. It's kind of hard for me to do this one-handed, but it will form a really good seal. I sort of burp it like an old-style Tupperware. I will take the cover of my cooking pot to put it on there, just to sort of back up the seal between the two items there, and shake it up. And I will get a recovery drink shake. And yeah, I tried this out a year ago, and I'm sold. I don't do this every day, because sometimes I'm just like out, and if I'm doing a resupply from a country store, they may not have this. But like right now, I'm in Wrightwood, and the hardware store stocks this product, Tailwind Recovery Mix. The next thing I carry are 2 different kinds of sleeping pads, a solid pad and an inflatable pad. Both of these are from Nemo, but I've used different brands, and they work equally well. This is a full-length one, and this is a short mummy from Nemo. They no longer make this one. Earlier on in the hike, I had a full-length Climate 2 that I had cut down to 3/4 length and ironed shut, and it worked fine. Worked fine for 1,000, 1,500 miles, something like that. And then I had this one sent from home. I always put the solid one on top of the inflatable for 2 reasons. One, this has a much higher R value, and I want that next to my body, so I'm not losing any heat due to convection currents that can occur in the inflatable. And the second reason is that by putting this one on top, I am spreading the load out of the inflatable underneath it, so I never really bottom out from my shoulder or from my hip, depending on how I'm sleeping. So that's the way to go, solid on top of the inflatable. And under the theory that anything that is worth doing is worth overdoing, I'm actually carrying 2 solid ones now. At the early part of the hike, this was the only solid one that I had. This is from Gossamer Gear. It's incredibly light. It's, I think, 1/8" foam, and it was full length, and I cut off a couple panels to save even more weight. I'm still carrying it right now, primarily because I use it as a back panel on the inside of my pack to keep sharp things like my cook pot, say, from digging into my back. And right now, what I will do is put this one down at the bottom, sandwich the inflatable in between it, and the larger foam pad on top. But for the first, well, half of the hike, this was the only solid one that I had, and it worked great. And here are some supplements or vitamins that I typically carry that Many hikers don't. I take a multivitamin, multi-mineral, just commercially available. These are from Costco. These are B12 tablets. After the CDT, I had a checkup and I was severely depleted in B12, and the doctor put me on that in my most recent checkup. I didn't need to do that anymore, but there's something about what I eat, how I exert myself, that I get severely depleted in B12, so I'm taking B12 supplements now here on the PCT. Based on the recommendation of a viewer, I have some magnesium to help out with leg cramps, and these are just a vacuum pack of a product called Salt Stick. Once again, I got this from Gear Skeptic on YouTube. The ones that are just white are without caffeine. The ones with green have some caffeine in them. And each capsule here has enough electrolyte to replace what you would sweat with 1 liter of water. I think that's right, 1 liter. Maybe it's a half liter. Oh my. But it's in the proportion that is in your sweat normally. So mostly sodium, but also potassium and some of the other electrolytes in the proportion. And so far and away, this is the cheapest electrolyte supplement, and it's also the lightest weight. There's no flavorings, there's no colorings. There's, you just get what you need as far as the electrolytes. Salt Stick. You can get them on Amazon. For lighting, I use not only a headlamp like 99% of hikers have. This is a Nightcore, but I have a separate source of light, and this is also a Nightcore product, and this is a keychain lamp. Probably the heaviest thing on this entire operation is this microbeaner, and I use this to hang inside my tent at night from a line that I sling along the ridge line. And by lighting it up, I can see like 360 degrees. It's actually more efficient to operate within the tent using this rather than a headlamp, and I'm not expending all the battery from my headlamp in doing this. Lasts hours and hours on one charge. I mean, a couple weeks really, and it's rechargeable. When I go into town from a USB, from a mini USB connection. And this is doxycycline, which I got from my doctor. It's not the full regimen of it. It's just 10 tablets. But my thinking was, if I got bit by a tick out in the backcountry or had some other concern, I could immediately start a regimen of doxycycline, leave the trail, and then go see a doctor to get the rest of the tablets as necessary. Haven't had to do that. Something I'm almost unique in carrying is a pool noodle that I have cut down. What do I use this for? Well, I use it for rolling out my back. Sometimes I will use it just as a point pressure if I'm feeling like a little kink in my back or my shoulders. But I can do this on a picnic table. I can do it on the ground. I oftentimes do it in my tent at the end of the day. Just roll out my back. I will roll out the muscles in my thighs, either holding it in my hand and just rolling it against the affected muscles, or use my own body weight. What's important that I have found is you get one that is solid, doesn't have the hole through the middle, which is more typical. But those tend to collapse and aren't really strong enough. I don't know how much this weighs, but it's not much. I'm sure it's less than an ounce. I also carry a Sharpie pen so people can sign my pack. The only other hiker that I know that carries it this year is Purple, and he has a purple one that he signs all the logbooks, so it's immediately obvious where he has been. And here are some things that I use for skincare, and I'll just sort of go around the circle. What I'm going to start off with is good old soap. This is just a sliver of Pier's, I guess it's glycerin soap that, we used at home. And I take a little sliver of it, put it in a baggie, and as far as weight is concerned, it's much more efficient for what you get out of, the cleansing ability versus, some sort of liquid soap. Then going around the circle here, this is an exfoliating glove, believe it or not. And I got this idea from an old friend of mine, and it's, I'd never heard of this thing before, but it's, like incredibly lightweight. You just get them at a grocery store even. And it's amazing how efficient this is in cleaning the dirt off you when you're taking a shower and you get into town. But even if you have some, cleaning like at night of your body, that is terrific. Much more efficient than anything else as far as like cleaning dirt off of your feet. The other thing that I use for cleaning both my feet and also general cleaning is, I think it's called a Swedish sponge. Once this dries out, it weighs like virtually nothing. And we use these at home. I might have cut this down to size a little bit, but also very good for cleaning the feet at night. Going around the circle here, have an contact lens case, and in this side I have it filled up with Vaseline, just in case I get some sort of rash or something like that. And this is Body Glide on this side, and I only filled this one up maybe a quarter or an eighth full. But also, once again, the container of this is very lightweight, and I just transferred from a more bulk thing. This is an antifungal cream, just that I put in, and then I have some hand cream, some general moisturizer. I would normally not carry this large of an amount. I think I might have squeezed some of it out already, that I didn't want to carry an extra ounce around of Eucerin. But it's getting quite cold this time of year, and with the wind, can get chapping of the hands and the face. So that's what I use for some of my skincare routine. And there you have it. Some of the things that I carry that other hikers don't. Hope you've found this helpful. Thanks for watching. I'm Farrell.